All right, in real time, we were watching Etsy's stock tumble this morning, down 9%. It was down 10% a little bit earlier. So, what is happening? Etsy just announced a pretty big change in leadership as far as one of the shakeups that's going on. And there are some warning signals in its marketplace. So, what does this mean for you as a creator or a small business? Let's unpack it and talk about what's really going on right now. So, here is the context. So, Etsy just announced that the current president and chief growth officer, Kruti Patel Goyal, will take over as CEO on January 1st. This means that Josh Silverman is out. He's been the CEO for the past 8 years, and a lot of sellers aren't really happy with what he's done the last 8 years. So this could be a pretty good sign of some pretty significant change going forward, or we can only hope that it's going to be positive and reverse some of the things or some of the directions that a lot of sellers really didn't like with the current Etsy platform. The other thing that's going on in the last basically earnings call, so you guys know kind of the financial stability of the company that we're all working under or using. We want to make sure that it's still strong, right? So the marketplace is reporting some warning signs. They're saying for Q3, gross merchandise sales fell to 2.72 billion, down from 2.92 billion a year ago, and active buyers dropped down 5%. So the active buyers are dipping. So it's now down to 86.6 million. The active sellers dropped 10%, down to 5.5 million. So yes, these are a drop, but there's still a pretty big, chunk of both sellers and buyers. And they're forecasting the next quarter's gross merchandise sales to be 3.5 to 3.65 billion, down from 3.7 billion. So they basically anticipate the trend to keep going at least for a little bit. But on the positive side, they did beat revenue estimates for the quarter, so they're up 6.78 million versus 6.55 million, which was expected. So that is positive. They're still bringing in substantial revenue. They're not losing a ton of revenue. The other thing is the new CEO, Goyle, has a strong experience with the fashion resale marketplace Depop, which Etsy owns, and is expected to lean into AI, personalization, and distinct inventory to fight the sea of basically sameness online. So they want to focus on the uniqueness that Etsy sellers provide. Another thing to kind of keep in mind with all of this, I know people are the takeaway is gonna be like, okay, their numbers are down, but other big marketplaces are seeing similar struggles right now. For example, Amazon is also seeing a dip in active sellers and traffic similar to Etsy's. It's happening across the board. There's a lot of economic and outside variables at play with these marketplaces right now. So we're seeing similar trends. Now, this would be a huge red flag if Etsy was the only one showing these type of signs, and they're definitely not. Which is a good thing, which means that at some point things will hopefully recover. But we just have to understand what's going on right now so we can know about it and work to fight against it. So here are three major implications and what you can do in your shop right now to kind of fight back about what's happening in the market. Because we can sit back and be like, oh, things are down, sales are down, traffic is down, but let's take a step back and take action against it. You know what I mean? We don't want to just sit back and complain. That's not going to do anything at the end of the day. We can at least take action and be in a better place with our shops when things do pick back up. And if you're not doing anything about it right now and you're just letting things stagnate, then you're not going to be any better off, even if the market picks back up, right? So basically with the market pool, so number one, since the market pool is shrinking, competition is naturally getting tougher. So active buyers are down 5%. So you may need to work harder to stand out. It's 5% isn't a lot at the end of the day, but it is something. You know what I mean? It's a pretty, when you're putting in the millions, I mean, it's a decent amount that will hopefully eventually come back. But we want to make sure that you're standing out. So revisit your strategy. So audit your listings, your tags, your titles, your photos, your unique value proposition. Etsy wants differentiated inventory that isn't competing with every generic item out there. So consider your value proposition. How are you different than what else is out there? I would also consider offering personalization items if possible. This is something that's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. I know Etsy has been pushing it, but it's also helping you set apart. People like the ability for personalization of their items, because a lot of people are coming to Etsy to buy gifts. So if you can offer that, you can also charge more. So it's helping you set yourself apart, helping you earn more revenue, and helping give people what they ultimately want. The next thing, number 2, is Etsy is leaning into AI, personalization, and unique inventory. So there's a big opportunity here. So the messaging from Etsy's new leadership is they believe their unique inventory, handmade, creative, human connection gives them an edge in the age of AI-driven shopping and marketplaces. So what that means for you is lean hard into your story, your craftsmanship, your exclusive feeling products. That's what Etsy is really kind of catering to right now. So you don't want to just be another, run-of-the-mill product. You risk, getting marginalized. So think of, your action tip for this is think of your shop story. Why you, not just what you make. How can you add value to set your products apart? So look at your competition closely. Look at what they're doing. How can you add more value with how you're explaining your products, but also how you're basically coming up with your listings? Can you do something that's different? Can you add value in other ways to set yourself apart, to make people want to purchase your item over other people's items? There's a lot of things that you can do depending on your niche to add value. A lot of people are just trying to throw mud on the wall, and they're not thinking about their customer. They're not thinking about how they can set themselves apart and how they can add extra value, so people really feel like they're getting a good deal. They're getting a good value. And I'm not talking about just lowering the price. I'm talking about keeping your price the same or raising your price, but adding value in other ways. That is what's going to matter at the end of the day. And the third thing is cost, fees, and shipping landscape. So it's obviously it's getting more expensive. Buyers' budgets are getting tight. Discretionary spending is lower in some segments. So that means, margins may tighten. Buyers may be more selective. So recheck your pricing, your shipping. Use price anchoring. So this is a good thing. So price anchoring is really, really beneficial in this case. So what is price anchoring? So if most people offer, products that are similar price, right? Across the board, they're the same price because they sell a lot of the same things. Well, how can you offer things that are higher priced and offer things that are lower priced? So lower priced things may be beneficial in a tough economy, but it also helps people price anchor because they'll come in, they'll see the low, mid, high. Some people will only want the highest priced, most expensive thing, right? Some people will want the budget-friendly, lower priced things. Some people will want a combination of all three, but if you don't have them, people aren't going to buy them. So it helps people from a psychology standpoint price anchor their stuff. And I always give this example. Some Starbucks offer $2,000 latte machines. You and me probably aren't buying that, but someone will, and there is a percentage of the population that do buy them. If they didn't offer that super expensive item, then they're not going to get any of those sales. But by offering it, they're getting those sales, and it's also price anchoring. For the people that can see, okay, I just want maybe a mug as opposed to a $2,000 latte machine, depending on their budget and the price anchoring. So do that in your shop. I think that will help, especially when people are tightening their wallets a bit. So those are the strategies that I would kind of look at with this change. And I think this change could be good. I'm a glass half full type person, so we'll see what happens. I'll keep an eye on it. I will certainly let you guys know. And if you guys want more strategies, more helps, more tips to help you with your Etsy shop and continue grow, hop over. There's a link below to join the Etsy Games VIP program. So this is super passionate about this group. This is not a weird spammy Facebook group. So we are all working together in a positive, motivational way to grow our businesses. So it's a safe place you can come, ask questions, get training. We do live group training. All new members right now get a one-on-one coaching call with me. I'll go into your shop. We'll talk about strategies. So it's lots of value in there, and it's just $10 a month. So similar programs are literally thousands, which I want to give you just as much value as those programs without you having to kind of fork over a ton of dough. Most of my successful members have been with me for a long time because they know that I'm in here every single day. My only concern is giving people the help that they need, giving you the motivation that you need, and the tips and strategies to be able to get to the next level and grow faster than the majority of other Etsy sellers. Lots of people are doing really well right now still. So I know it's all kind of doom and gloom sometimes in some of these forums and groups. It's not that way. There are people still making significant amounts of money on Etsy, and you can still carve out your piece of the pie, and I will help you do just that. So hopefully see you guys in there. I'll be back soon with some more good stuff for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day.